Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Bentar, belum terekam.
Assalamualaikum
Assalamualaikum
warahmatullahi
warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.
Hello everyone.
Hello everyone.
In this video, we would like
Here we
to
would
give
like
a
to give
presentation about
presentation about
factors affecting students' speaking performance. Before the presentation begins, let me introduce myself and my teammates. My name is Rangga Dwi Putra as the moderator of this presentation, and my teammates are Ahmad Jibriel, Rio Ferdinansyach, Cipta Fitriaji, and Bayu Mulya Ramadhan. The first slide will be presented by Bayu. All right, Bayu, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Rangga. Harmer. Speaking is the ability to speak fluently and purposes not only knowledge of language features, but also the ability to process information and language. Speaking is the most important part for students to speak in language lesson because used to communicate naturally in real time. This can improve students' pronunciation, grammar, structure, and vocabulary, and can process information and language well. Speaking as way of communication cannot be separated from everyday human life. However, speaking activities are very familiar with everyday human life. Next slide, please. And the next one is factors contributing in public speaking difficulties. Speaking in public can be challenging and not easy fit to some. There are many reasons to this, but generally it can be divided into affective factors, linguistic factor, and performance condition. Affective factors. These factors are emotional factors that often affect someone's ability to speak up directly. These factors can often underestimate but actually greatly affect performance as emotion have a huge role on someone's brain and gesture. These factors often include but not limited to anxiety, lack of motivation, and fear. Next slide, please. Anxiety. People who are not used to talk in front of public will find it difficult to speak in public. This anxiety could be a result of insecurities, being afraid of judged negatively, or the pressure of being a center of attention. It may look easy to ignore this anxiety in the theory, but in practice, it would be hard to ignore dozens of eyes staring simultaneously. Motivation and learning age. Many people are discouraged from learning public speaking largely due to not having an urgency to do so. Many young students do not task to speak in public more often, and often the time it was in form of group presentation. In group presentation, many will rely to hosts who they think are better, leaving them to be discouraged to actually learning it for themselves. This led them not to paying attention to better themselves at speaking when they were young. They will realize it after they were older, making it harder to learn it and giving more obstacle as older people are more self-conscious.
The next is
The next slides
paranoia.
will be read by Rio.
Okay, thank you, Bayu. And paranoia. People who have active imagination may give an obstacle when they were about to begin their speech. They would often think negative outcomes when they were speaking, like mistakes and error, and would often focus themselves on those mistakes. This way of thinking often led them into actually getting into those situations because their focus are messed up. They will get disrupt because they feel the feeling they imagine as if they actually make those mistakes instead of focusing themselves to improve their speech. This can create an endless cycle of imagining negative outcomes that result in actual negative outcomes, which further to imagining more negative outcomes. And next slide will be present by Ivan.
The next is linguistic factor. Language is one of the biggest factors that contributes to anxiety in speaking. A lot of people are insecure about their language skill. They are often self-conscious about their grammatical skill, pronunciation, and vocabulary, especially when they were tasked to speak in public with foreign language they do not grow up with. For example, non-English native speaker will find it difficult to speak in English due to the difference in many aspects. Grammatical structure and pronunciation can be significantly different, and they also have to remember new set of vocabulary. If they didn't grow up with speaking English since young, it will be harder for them to master English at later age. This will lead into self-consciousness in speaking. The next slide will be presented by Alan.
Uh, Next is performance condition. Uh, in this factor, it can include time pressure, standard or performance, and feedback. Time pressure can make speaking more challenging because not only we have to consider which content should we put. We also have to consider our speech speed. If we are not used to this, it can greatly disperse focus because speakers now have to watch on timing. Speaker also may feel unsure if the content they deliver is enough or contemplating to other to choose other content they think better. Standard of performance can also put pressure on speaker as now they are more self-conscious, fearing that their performance is not good enough to meet the standard. Thank you.
Okay, so the conclusion are speaking is ability to speak fluently and also the ability to process information and language. Speaking is the most important part for students to speak in language lessons because used to communicate naturally in real time, but there are several factors that make student has difficulty in speaking. It's affective factor, linguistic factor, and performance conditions. Finally, we are arrived at the end of our presentation. I would like to say thank you to my teammates for the teamwork and also thank you to the audience for the participation and for the attention. I think that's all for us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.